ignore the distracted look on my face.
Hello everybody and welcome to LGBT Live on Monday. It's 5:30 and we're here with Barry from Cavan Monaghan Rainbow Youth. Hi Barry.
Hi, how are you? How's everybody?
And my name's Melissa and I'm from Youth Work Ireland, Cavan Monaghan. So we haven't been here for a few weeks. We've taken a few weeks off, but we're back today, Barry. How are you doing?
I'm very good. I'm actually trying to navigate Facebook here to share that we're live, and they've changed their format and it's confusing.
Well, just then, as you're doing that, I just want to say that we're also having Friday live back this week at 3:30, and we actually have a special guest from spunout.ie, and it's going to be on how social media affects young people's mental health. So we're going to have a speaker on. So if any parents or young people have any questions that they would like help with or comment with about social media and young people's mental health, send them in to us, and we will talk about them on Friday. So you're okay now, Barry?
I'm great, fantastic. Thanks for asking.
So just a question. I had a contact from a parent and they were saying that their young person is a trans boy and that they've been dealing with it for the past 2 years or so, and they've been working with them at home about it and all of that. But now they've gotten to the stage where they want to tell kind of people that are outside of just the family unit, so like granny and people like that, and it's just about how to approach it with them, and they feel like they don't want to go into a big long spiel, but they need to get it out there that the young person is now a trans male. So have you any advice, or what do you think about it? Or
yeah, see, advice is it's very difficult to give advice on something that's so well, am I muted? No.
No,
it's okay. Oh God almighty. It's been too long, Melissa. I'm not built for this anymore. Yeah, I think it's very hard to give advice about the specific things like that, because every family unit's different. Every granny, granddad, auntie, uncle, cousin, they're all different. Their belief system is different. So there's no sort of prescriptive advice that I can give around. I think the most important thing would be that the young person has the support of the immediate family, obviously, whenever they're going to progress and do this. And that's the most important part. It's that mum and dad or whoever that is close to the young person that is going to be with them when they're letting other family members know, or that's going to be maybe letting other families know on behalf of the young person, that they stand strong and they are a strong ally with the young person. That if somebody turns negative, that they stand up for the young person and say that they are fully behind them, and allow people to know that, because that's the most important part, I think, for any young person, having that solid somebody that has their back, that is going to support them as they progress through their journey. And like, I remember actually I worked with one young person before, and they were very hurt that mum, now it wasn't trans, it was actually just a young gay woman, was very hurt because mum wasn't for telling the grandparents. Mum wanted to, and it wasn't that mum didn't support the young person, but mum was also protecting the young person from what she was expecting the grandparents' reaction to be. And that was very offensive to the young person, because it made them think that mum wasn't supportive of them, that mum was ashamed of them. And that's where we need to be very, very careful. Like, if we're going to support our young LGBT people, we need to be solid in that support and not waver. Because you can close your front door at the end of the day and say, this is your safe space, and anybody outside of that space has no right to really have an opinion on how you live your life anyway.
And if you feel like there's important people that need to know, I think it would be nice to give them a heads up, maybe without the young person there, so that maybe if the parent, or if they are going to get a shock factor of somebody, the parent can take it better than the young person. So if they're, and like, you know, you don't have to tell that, it's only who's important, and then the information will filter down anyway.
Yeah.
So it's only who you really feel is important to tell, and that might feel like you might need to give them a bit more information or explain, or, you know, like there's a lot of people who don't know anything about LGBT or trans, or that it's so far into them that they really do need a bit of help. So it might be that some relations that you do need to tell, I think the parent would be better off doing it on their own without the young person there to give them
that's a very good suggestion, to be honest. I don't know why I didn't think of that.
And I was going to say something else. Oh yeah, I think sometimes you can just be obvious about things. Like if the young person is dressing a certain way, or they have a new name, I think you can just say, you know, this is Tom, you know, or whoever it is. And, you know, it's amazing what just visually something can just give you without having to go into, you know, for maybe the people that you care less about telling. Just and that's it, and that's just the story. And I know even with my own children, you know, if you just tell them something, they you know, reliable and trustworthy is telling them something, and they just go, okay. They don't ask that many questions about it. They just take for granted what you're saying is the right information. So
I think one thing as well, don't be surprised if aunts, uncles, grannies, grandads are actually very aware of LGBT issues as well, because again, the marriage equality referendum was only 5 years ago. It was very much out there. It was in all media for months before it and during the referendum, when it came to the referendum itself. So the information is out there. People have a lot more insight than sometimes we give them credit for. So grannies and granddads can actually pop into that mindset a lot easier than maybe generations before them.
And you know who educates them? Soaps. EastEnders, Coronation.
Very true, actually,
and Emmerdale. That's like, where they.
Will you ever forget when Zoe Tate came out as a lesbian? I mean, the world exploded that night. And then they had, well, I'd never followed much of the Irish soaps, but yeah, it sort of built it. It seeped into all the other soaps very, very quickly.
Yeah. So soaps are actually, they highlight a lot of these things a lot of the time, and that's actually where sometimes the older generation get their information from. So, which is a good thing.
Yeah, definitely.
And just talking about pronouns, you know, so using he, him, or she, her, or they, them, you know, that can be very important to some young LGBT people. So can you explain why that's important to, so just say if there's a trans male, he would prefer obviously then to be known as he, him.
Yeah.
So as opposed to she, her. Or some people prefer to be known as they, them, and not have male or female put onto it. So why is that important?
It's a person's identity. It's as simple as that. Like, if you are a cisgender person, who is cisgender being somebody who's born male and identifies as male, you expect to be called he, him through your life. And it's exactly the same for a trans person. They may have been born a different gender, but the gender that they identify with is their gender, and nobody has the right to tell you who you are. So it's as simple as that. If somebody asks to be called he, him, or they, them, respect that, because it's not going to hurt you to use the correct pronouns. Sometimes you might slip up, sometimes, and I do it all the time, especially if I've known a person I'm working with, or a person in my private life that I've known as the opposite gender, and then they come out. I have, and I've done it on multiple occasions where I have misgendered somebody. But the only thing I can do when I do that is apologize and let the person know that it's not from a place of malice. And to be honest, people know that if you misgender someone by accident, the majority of the times the young person or whoever it is will know that you've done it by accident. I think the easiest way, I tend to use the generals, the they, them, or the other thing is I tend to use the name a hell of a lot more than I would have previously, because if you're using the person's name, you're addressing that person as the individual that they are.
Yeah.
So, and sometimes you can call them the wrong name, which I've done that too. Which, again, I'm sorry, there's an alien couch keeps appearing over here, but my room's a mess, and that's why I have that that screen up. But the couch is just insisting on getting into the telly today.
Yeah.
So apologies. Yeah, back to the pronouns. I've been
Yeah.
working on a piece with some of the young people in Cavan, and quite simple statements from them around pronouns. One of them said, "Oh, it was here a second ago. The use of pronouns is really important as it makes a person feel comfortable about who they are." And it's that straightforward. There's no fancy. That is literally, and again, this young person would have identified under the trans umbrella. And another person says, try and remember the correct pronouns of whoever crosses your path, but don't worry about using the incorrect pronouns. It's easy to apologize. And that's young LGBT people in our communities here that are telling us these messages. So.
And
respect.
it's so simple as well, just to say, well, look, what they're saying to you is try your best, but if you make a mistake, say sorry.
Yeah.
And I know that has happened to me, like you're saying, Barry, that I've used the wrong pronoun, maybe because I knew the young person before they've transitioned and said the wrong name or something like that. But they kind of know from the people that they're with, if somebody's doing it out of genuine mistake or somebody's doing it, out of ignorance or something like that. Because I know they would say at school, they say, "Oh, they dead named me."
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And well, that's it. You see,
name,
there's
their dead name.
The dead naming is an issue, and that is a form of transphobic bullying.
Yeah.
And it does happen. But again, with the dead naming, it's the intent behind it. And if the person acknowledges that they did make the mistake, like if you make the mistake, acknowledge it. And the majority of the time, the young person will be 100% like they understand how and why it happened. Like it happened to me very recently in one of our groups, a young person that I'd known for quite a number of years, who has since transitioned and is now known by a different name. And I used the incorrect pronoun, I think, about 4 times in the space of 15 minutes.
Okay.
And every time I did it, I got more anxious. And the more anxious I got, the more I made more mistakes.
Yeah.
And it was one of the most uncomfortable feelings. And then the young person turned around and said to me, "Is like, Barry, this is beyond funny now."
Oh.
And I froze. And then they burst their backsides laughing because they were literally just they seen how nervous I was. And for them, it was to take me out of that awkwardness, which was but again, it's not intentional. Don't intentionally do anything, and a simple sorry can fix it.
Yeah. And even if people want to be known by this certain pronoun, they will actually do things to help you out. So like on emails and stuff like that, people have put their pronouns on them, or they may be wearing a badge that says he, him, or she, her, or they, them, or they're trying to help us out. They're giving us visuals as well, So it's just being kind of aware of what people are trying to put out there to help you as well. I just have noticed that a lot of young LGBT people will do stuff like that to kind of help you and to make things easier for them as well, that they don't have to say it every time or whatever.
Exactly.
So it's just to be aware of that as well, that there might be visual clues and stuff. So I'm aware as well, Barry, that young people are going back to school this week. And so it may be a time where young people are kind of maybe anxious about going back, or they may be excited, or they may have been at home alone for quite a long time, and now they're going back out into school life, which they mightn't enjoy that much. So it's just about trying to say, like, I wonder what type of anxieties might be facing young LGBT people at this time about joining school again. It may be even about them joining a secondary school, maybe for the first time, a new school which they haven't been in before, or college. I think we talked about this before.
Yeah, I think we have, but I suppose I know one young person that's engaged with me very recently, and that was actually one thing that they're looking forward to. They're transitioning from primary to secondary school, and
Yeah.
they're actually looking forward to, because now they can start to create their own identity. They're not necessarily going to be stuck with how people refer to them. Maybe the not so nice kids in the playground. You
Yeah.
know, it's a chance to start afresh when you're moving into a new school.
Yeah.
I think it's just a case of taking ownership of who you are and of your identity, how you identify, of your sexuality, whatever. And I'm not saying that you need to go in with a badge and shout, you know, as you run through the doors of the school first thing on Monday morning, hi. But
Yeah.
it's about enjoying who you are and enjoying this new space and this new arena. Be safe. Sometimes young people can just want to go in and tell everybody, so it's out in the open. But again, you're meeting new people, so take a bit of time, get to know your classmates, and you know when it's safe to tell people and when it's not.
Yeah.
A lot of the schools too have really amazing guidance counselors. So if you're having trouble, go to your guidance counselor, go to your year head. And I'm not saying that you need to say, I'm having trouble, such and such is annoying me. But if you're having trouble around your sexuality or your identity and you want some supports, the schools are there to support you. A lot of the times, and I know when I was in school, I disliked it immensely, simply because I struggled with being myself in school. And it wasn't until after school that I came out. But nowadays, teachers are so much more inclusive. They're so much more willing and able to support young people because they have the supports in place within the schools. They have homophobia and transphobia, biphobia, all part of their anti-bullying policies. So know that you're in a safe place and find that teacher that you feel comfortable with, that you can talk to. Your year head,
whoever it is.
Whoever it is. Even the principals, like, they are all honestly there to support you. So don't be afraid.
And to protect you. Like, there is policies and procedures and legislation there to protect young LGBT people in school, that they have a right to their education, and they're, you know, to not have homophobic bullying or any intimidation or anything like that going on.
Yeah.
So the school has an obligation to protect you as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is, like, it's a very scary time. For others, though, like, there's many young people that, again, have been engaging with us both over the last 5-6 months since the whole COVID pandemic outbreak started. And there's so many young people that have been isolated in school. I know so many that are just pumping to get back to school.
Yeah.
Because their friends are there. The people who know them and understand them are there. And maybe family life at home hasn't been as accepting during this whole period. So for a lot of LGBT young people, I know they are pumping to get back to school because they're going to be able to actually engage with the people who understand them, with their friends, and get back into that sort of vibe, which is fantastic. So hopefully that'll help boost young people's mental health, which we talk about quite a lot on this.
Yeah, and it's even when you get back to school, it's even the freedom of going in and out of school and maybe being back in the town, whereas normally they're living, you know, in a really rural area or whatever it is. So it's hopefully there's a lot to look forward to. Yeah, definitely. Hopefully. And even like that, there is such things as stand-up week. So stand-up week is a campaign from Belong To, and they encourage schools to have stand up against any time of homophobic bullying, and that you can do different events in schools. So like that comes up every year, and if it's not been done in your school, you can ask that it gets done in your school.
Yeah. Now the whole stand-up week has changed its format this year. Like, we were supposed to have training on stand-up week very recently, and it has switched to an online format for. This is for any teachers that are out there. You will possibly be receiving emails. If you haven't and you're interested, contact Belong To directly. They will be rolling out the training in the next couple of weeks through, it's going to be all distance learning instead of us going out to schools or teachers coming to us. It'll all be distance learning.
Yeah.
And there may be changes in what can physically be done in the school this year with COVID restrictions. But the visibility can still be there. So yes, you're right. If there's nothing happening, talk to your teachers. Your guidance teachers are going to hate me because I'm saying kids, go talk to them. But your guidance teachers and your principals are probably the two best people that you can talk to around that, because they and any pastoral care would all have responsibility for the well-being of students. Well, every teacher has, but these people would have a specific responsibility for it in most schools. So they'll be able to help you to get the information and get the posters and get all that sort of stuff out there. Yeah. But again, tap into my service if you're having trouble getting the right contacts, because I'm a mine of information. I'm not really, but I can point you in the right direction.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I think our time is nearly up already.
Oh no.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Yes.
But yeah, so it's just to say, yeah, like that yourself, your service is there, Barry, and our service is here for any young people that want to get in contact. Whether it's about, getting support, or even a parent getting a bit of support around LGBT issues, or wanting to join one of the groups, and they can contact myself or Barry to do that. Yeah.
And just for young trans people out there and their families as well, there is some trans specific supports in the pipeline. We are just opening it up now. Hopefully September, October, we'll have a couple of evenings for parents and for young people to support them with information and any other support that they might need around trans issues. So just keep an eye on our website, on our Facebook, and that information will be coming up, but we'll pass it along through Melissa as well as we move along.
Okay.
So yay.
That's great. That's great news. It's great that there's more supports coming on down the pipeline.
Yeah.
Okay, Barry. So thanks very much for coming today.
Thank you very much. It's been great. I don't know what accent that was. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. And yeah, Friday live at 3:30, and we're going to have a speaker on about social media and young people's mental health from spunout.ie. So if you have any comments or questions, you can contact us through Facebook or any of the social media channels. Okay, thanks. Bye.